The show's about 6 individuals. Each of them has separate careers, relying on our friends for kind of emotional support and spiritual support, trying to make it on our own in the big city.
Think you know Friends? You're about to be shocked. The 1994 sitcom that stole hearts worldwide wasn't just about laughs, it hid secrets even die-hard fans never suspected. Behind the cameras, the cast experienced interesting and intense moments that never made it to the screen. What shocking stories did the actors keep under wraps? And how would these revelations change the way you see your favorite episodes? Join us as we unveil some of the cast's revelations regarding what fans never figured out about Friends. The origin of a pop culture phrase. Today, the phrase "friend zone" is instantly recognizable, a tidy label for the painful moment when one person's romantic hopes are met with nothing more than friendly affection. It circulates across social media and dating advice columns as if it has always existed. But the term didn't gain cultural momentum until the 2010s, long after its quiet beginnings on television. Its first appearance can be traced back to an early episode of Friends, specifically Season 1's The One with the Blackout.
Wow, this is so cool, you guys. The entire city is blacked out.
In that storyline, Ross once again wrestled with his feelings for Rachel, feelings he had nurtured silently for years. Joey, ever direct and unfiltered, delivered the line that would eventually become a modern expression. Ross, he said, had waited too long, and as a result, had officially entered what he called the friend zone, a place where romantic intentions go unsupported and the other person sees only friendship. At the time, the line registered simply as a moment of comic honesty. No one watching could have guessed that Joey's casual remark would evolve into a defining term for one of the most common relationship dilemmas. It was a simple joke, wrapped inside a larger storyline. Yet it captured something universal, the frustration of unreturned feelings and the uncertainty of hoping for more. Years later, as the internet reshaped the language of dating and relationships, the term resurfaced and took on a life of its own. What began as a throwaway line during a 1990s sitcom blackout transformed into a phrase used around the world. If that first fact seemed obvious, wait until you hear the second one. You're not going to see this coming. The twist that rewrote Friends forever. Fans often assume the love story between Monica Geller and Chandler Bing was planned from the start.
You are one of my favorite people, and the most beautiful woman I've ever known in real life.
In reality, their relationship wasn't supposed to happen at all. The original blueprint paired Monica with Joey, a direction the writers believed fit the show's early tone. But television scripts bend easily and sometimes permanently when on-screen chemistry refuses to be ignored. Everything shifted during the Season 4 finale, when Monica and Chandler unexpectedly ended up in bed together in London. What was initially written as a brief comic surprise suddenly felt different once the cameras rolled. Their interaction crackled with a warmth and awkward sweetness that couldn't be dismissed. According to co-creator David Crane, the moment was designed to be nothing more than a shocking one-night twist, followed by an amusing scramble to undo it. But that plan collapsed almost instantly. As the creative team explored follow-up scenes, they saw new storylines emerging everywhere, with richer conversations and a dynamic that brightened the series in ways no one had predicted. The accidental pairing didn't just work, it energized the writers' room and opened doors they hadn't even noticed before. The studio audience confirmed what the creators were slowly realizing. When Monica lifted the bed covers to reveal Chandler beside her, the crowd erupted so loudly that filming had to pause. The reaction was sheer excitement, the kind that signaled the birth of something that felt unexpectedly right. That single moment changed the direction of the entire show. Joey stepped aside, Chandler stepped forward, and Monica, who was never meant to choose him, found the partner fans would ultimately consider her perfect match. A storyline born from a joke became one of television's most beloved romances, all because one scene refused to stay small. Speaking of on-screen chemistry, these actors definitely had more in common than fans knew about: a sizzling romance. Matthew Perry's experienced love at first sight. Long before audiences met Chandler Bing and Rachel Green, Matthew Perry had already crossed paths with Jennifer Aniston, and the meeting left a lasting impression on him. About 2 years before Friends ever reached a casting room, Matthew met Jennifer and found himself instantly drawn to her. He admitted that his interest was immediate and impossible for him to ignore. According to what he shared in 2022, Matthew kept those feelings entirely to himself. He noticed that Jennifer treated him with a cool, uninterested politeness, not unfriendly, but unmistakably detached. That disinterest was enough for him to shut down any hope before it could grow. Matthew described it with his usual dry humor, saying her lack of reaction made the whole situation one-sided from the start. Still, the crush lingered privately as the two later stepped into the world of Friends, joining Courtney Cox and Matt LeBlanc to form one of television's most iconic ensembles. Matthew hid his feelings so carefully that no one around him ever had reason to suspect what he felt in the earliest days of their friendship. Everything shifted once Jennifer eventually married Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt's in a black tuxedo, Jennifer Aniston in a white satin silk gown.
For Matthew, that moment was a clear sign that any small fantasy he had once entertained was officially out of reach. He joked that Pitt's arrival erased any final illusion that he might someday have a chance. With that, whatever quiet hopes he once held faded into the background, replaced by the professional respect and genuine friendship that defined their years together on the show. While Matthew lingered in the friend zone, another cast member who also has a crush on Jennifer got a real chance to win her heart. Exploring the impossible. During the Friends reunion special, David Schwimmer and Jennifer Aniston revealed a layer of behind-the-scenes tension that fans had long speculated about. Schwimmer, who played Ross, admitted that he harbored a strong crush on Aniston, his on-screen love interest Rachel, from the very beginning of the series. Surprisingly, Aniston had feelings for him too, though the timing never aligned. "I had a major crush on Jen in the first season."
The
First season.
Yeah, the first season, I had a major crush on Jen.
David explained. "At some point, we were crushing hard on each other, but it was like two ships passing in the night. One of us was always in a relationship, and we never crossed that boundary. We respected that." Jennifer added a personal memory that laid more emphasis on the irony of their situation. She recalled warning Schwimmer that their first on-screen kiss would be awkward if it happened in front of a live audience. As fate would have it, their character's first kiss did occur in the iconic coffee shop setting, cementing one of television's most famous romantic moments. Despite the professional setting, their real-life admiration quietly fueled the chemistry between Ross and Rachel. Jennifer eventually revealed that they simply channeled all of their adoration and love for each other into Ross and Rachel. That unspoken connection helped bring authenticity to the on-screen relationship, giving fans a sense of intimacy and tension that became central to the show's appeal. Before we get lost in their romance, let's not overlook a tiny detail, and that's their first kiss happening in front of a live audience. This brings us to our next fact. Filmed before a live audience. Friends thrived on immediacy, filming each episode in front of a live audience whose reaction shaped the show's rhythm and humor. David Schwimmer, Courtney Cox, Jennifer Aniston, Matthew Perry, Matt LeBlanc, and Lisa Kudrow brought Ross, Monica, Rachel, Chandler, Joey, and Phoebe to life. But it was the audience's laughter that often dictated the final lines. The creators and writers embraced flexibility, adjusting dialogue on the fly to capture the strongest response. Scenes were rewritten mid-shoot, punchlines were shifted, and timing was altered, all in pursuit of the perfect comedic beat.
We knew that the show had a shot at being something great, and when we found out the time slot that
This commitment sometimes extended filming deep into the night, with shoots stretching to 1 or 2 a.m. To preserve the energy of the crowd, producers would rotate audiences, ensuring laughter remained genuine and vibrant. Regular attendees, already familiar with the characters and setups, occasionally anticipated jokes before they landed, prompting the writers to refine timing and dialogue even further. The dynamic between actors and audience created a feedback loop. The crowd's reaction guided performances, and the performer's timing amplified the humor. Now let's reveal the story behind the song that defined the show and how the cast reacted to it. the infamous theme song. For millions of viewers, the opening moments of Friends became an instant cue for comfort. A bright, upbeat theme song, a glowing fountain, and 6 young New Yorkers laughing their way through a playful dance routine. I'll Be There, for you turned into one of television's most recognizable musical signatures.
I'll be there for you when the rain starts to pour. I'll be
Forever tied to the show's warm, familiar energy. But behind the scenes, the cast didn't share the public's enthusiasm. Years after Friends ended, Jennifer Aniston revealed a lesser-known detail in a 2016 BBC interview, one that surprised many fans. According to her, the actors were never particularly fond of the theme song that went on to define the series. She explained that, despite its popularity, none of them connected deeply with it. What the world now sees as iconic, they had originally viewed with uncertainty. The opening sequence was equally puzzling to them, while audiences came to love the image of Joey, Phoebe, Rachel, Ross, Chandler, and Monica splashing through the water and collapsing onto that now famous burnt orange couch. The cast found the whole setup unusual. Aniston described the fountain scene as a little odd, a moment that didn't quite match their expectations during filming. Yet over time, the sequence took on a life of its own. What began as an awkward shoot transformed into a pop culture visual emblem, instantly recognizable decades later. The theme song rose to the top of music charts, and the couch and fountain imagery became part of global television history, despite the actors' initial reactions. The irony remains striking. One of the most beloved TV intros of the 1990s was something the stars themselves never truly liked. Fans embraced it endlessly. The cast simply moved past it, but the world never did. Let's move on to the next shocking fact on our list. Casting the infamous ugly naked guy. On Friends, one of the most memorable yet nameless characters was the so-called ugly naked guy.
All right, ugly naked guy.
Oh, ugly naked dancing!
The unclothed neighbor across from Monica and Rachel's apartment. Though rarely seen, his presence loomed large, adding absurdity to the lives of the 6 main friends. The character's anonymity, combined with the show's offbeat comedy, created a unique casting challenge. Despite his minimal screen time and lack of dialogue, casting directors found that the role attracted surprising interest. Actors were drawn to the part not for fame or recognition, but simply to embody the visual gag that became a running joke for millions of viewers. The production team filmed him mostly from the back, emphasizing shape and silhouette rather than identity. Creators Marta Kaufman and David Crane explained that the casting process was informal, relying less on auditions and more on finding someone who physically fit the vision of the unseen neighbor. The few times ugly naked guy appeared on camera required no lines and no facial shots, yet the character's odd allure meant the role was far from overlooked. Speaking of strange moments, remember the Thanksgiving turkey scene that left everyone baffled? Here's some clarity on what really happened. The turkey that fooled millions. In the iconic Friends episode, The One with All the Thanksgivings, the gang recounted their most disastrous holiday memories. Among them, Joey's unforgettable moment came when his head got stuck inside a turkey, a gag that ensnared Monica herself. The sight was both hilarious and absurd, but behind the laughter was a clever bit of television trickery. The turkey wasn't real. According to co-creator Marta Kaufman and writer Greg Malins, the production faced a practical problem. A real turkey simply couldn't accommodate a human head, and even the largest available bird posed serious health risks. That is absolutely not a real turkey, confirmed writer Crane in a 2016 interview with Entertainment Weekly. There are so many health issues about actually putting a turkey on someone's head. Malins admitted that the team initially hoped for authenticity, wanting Matthew Perry's Chandler to genuinely duck his head into the bird. When reality intervened, the props department stepped in, crafting a solution. They built a turkey from foam, carefully sculpted to mimic the size and texture of a real bird. It was large, comically oversized, and perfectly safe for the actor to wear. The result was seamless on screen. Viewers were none the wiser, as the foam turkey became a centerpiece of holiday chaos, elevating the episode to one of the series' most memorable installments. The combination of physical comedy and inventive prop design ensured that the scene remained both hilarious and believable, cementing it in pop culture history. Getting Joey's head into a turkey was tough, but Lisa Kudrow's take on Ursula Buffet was just as challenging. The hidden struggle behind Lisa Kudrow's Ursula Buffet. Lisa Kudrow's portrayal of Ursula Buffet, the estranged twin of her iconic Friends character Phoebe, came with unexpected challenges.
Your sister Ursula.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she works over at that place,
Griff's, yeah, I know.
Oh, you do?
While audiences enjoyed the quirky, offbeat twin dynamic, Kudrow was tasked with playing both roles herself, a feat that required ingenuity and precision. Since she didn't actually have a twin, Kudrow relied on her real-life sister, Helena, as a body double for Ursula's scenes. Director Kevin Bright later revealed the tension this arrangement caused. In a September 2019 interview with Entertainment Weekly, he explained that Kudrow struggled with the process. Acting alongside a double was difficult for her, and the fact that the double was her sister added an unusual layer of complexity. The scenes required careful coordination. Camera angles, timing, and physical gestures had to align perfectly to create the illusion of two identical characters interacting. Kudrow's discomfort was compounded by the precision demanded for these sequences, making shooting days longer and more taxing. Despite her comedic talent and natural charisma, the experience was far from effortless. Fans often remember Ursula as a memorable, mischievous presence, yet few realize the behind-the-scenes hurdles involved in bringing her to life. Kudrow's dedication to portraying two distinct personalities, one sweet and naive, the other sarcastic and self-serving, highlighted her range as an actress, even under challenging circumstances. Ultimately, while Ursula remains a beloved character, the experience was a rare point of friction in Kudrow's otherwise celebrated tenure on Friends. Friends is full of chaotic moments, and the next surprising fact involves someone or something you definitely wouldn't have guessed. The chaos behind Marcel. Marcel, Ross Geller's Capuchin companion in the first two seasons of Friends,
That would be Marcel. You want to say hi?
No, I don't. Oh, he is precious. Where did you get him?
My friend Bethel rescued him.
became one of the show's most memorable animals, but behind the laughs, working with him was far from easy. The cast revealed during the reunion that their experience with Marcel was frustrating, especially for David Schwimmer, who played Ross. "I love animals. I love primates. I'm an animal lover," David explained. But here was my problem. The issue wasn't the monkey itself, but the chaos that came with filming. Marcel, though trained, needed precise timing to hit his cues perfectly. On a set where every movement was choreographed to the second, any small misstep threw the entire scene off. David described how a single, mistimed action from Marcel would ripple through the set. Scenes that were meticulously planned suddenly fell apart, forcing resets and repeated takes. What was meant to be a smooth comedic moment often became a scramble of adjustments, retakes, and frustration. The other cast members shared similar sentiments, admitting that working around a live animal added unpredictability to the already complex rhythm of sitcom filming. While Marcel delivered undeniable charm on screen, off-camera, he introduced a level of unpredictability that challenged even seasoned actors. Speaking of David Schwimmer, here's a moment with him that nearly changed the entire course of the beloved sitcom. The casting twist that almost changed Friends forever. Today, it's nearly impossible to imagine Friends without David Schwimmer's thoughtful, awkward, dinosaur-loving Ross Geller.
Friends returning to TV. You know, a lot of people were so happy to see David Schwimmer on Will and Grace, and you know what? We're not the only one.
But the path to casting him was far more complicated than fans might expect. Even though the character had been shaped with David in mind from the very beginning, he wasn't eager to return to television at all. As detailed in Kelsey Miller's 2018 book I'll Be There For You, the one about Friends, David had walked away from the industry after a draining experience on a previous TV project. The disappointment was so profound that he moved back to Chicago, committing himself fully to theater work. To him, the stage felt safer, more fulfilling, and far removed from the pressures of network television. Co-creator David Crane later explained, during the 2021 reunion special just how difficult it was to bring David back. According to Crane, convincing him required persistence and a surprising amount of emotional negotiation. He recalled having to beg and beseech the actor, hoping to change his mind and persuade him to take a chance on the new sitcom. Without that effort, Ross, one of the show's emotional anchors, might never have existed in the form audiences came to know. David wasn't the only near miss during casting. Matthew Perry, who defined Chandler Bing with sharp wit and impeccable timing, was barely available. At the time, Perry was already attached to another pilot, placing his involvement in Friends at risk. Had things gone differently, the show's signature trio dynamic, Ross, Chandler, and Joey, could have looked entirely different. Let's move on to the next fact we have for you, one that involves a signature hairstyle: the accidental icon. James Michael Tyler, who passed away in October 2021.
James Michael Tyler died yesterday morning at his home in Los Angeles after a 3-year battle with prostate cancer.
Was originally cast on Friends simply to populate Central Perk as an unnamed barista, lending authenticity to the cafe setting. His role was meant to be minor and almost invisible. Yet over time, Tyler transformed the background character into Gunther, an unforgettable figure defined by his awkward charm and unrequited obsession with Rachel Green. Gunther's signature bleached blonde hair, now iconic, was not part of any original plan. In fact, it was a happy accident. Tyler explained that a friend who aspired to be a hairdresser asked to practice bleaching his hair. Tyler agreed, and the results were striking. Stark, platinum white, the very night before his first day on set for Season 1. That unplanned look quickly became inseparable from the character. Maintaining the dramatic hue became a routine part of Tyler's life for years. Initially, he relied on the hairdresser on set, but after some time, he took matters into his own hands. "I bleached my hair every week for 10 years, he revealed. Doing it himself made the process more convenient than arriving on set hours early. The routine, though time-consuming, cemented Gunther's visual identity, helping the barista-turned-fan favorite stand out among the show's ensemble. Though Tyler's original intention was modest, his portrayal of Gunther evolved into a layered, memorable presence. From a background filler to a central figure in many comedic subplots, Gunther's eccentric appearance and silent devotion to Rachel became hallmarks of Friends, leaving a lasting mark on fans and pop culture alike. This final tidbit happened long before Friends became the cultural phenomenon it is today, and it's pretty hilarious. The final night before fame. Before the world knew their names, the 6 actors shared one quietly electric night in Las Vegas.
Come on, Ross, you gotta get back in the game here, okay? The Rachel thing's not happening, your ex-wife's a lesbian.
Matt LeBlanc, Lisa Kudrow, Matthew Perry, Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, and David Schwimmer had just finished preparing for the very first live taping of the sitcom that would eventually make them global icons. But on that evening, they were still just a group of hopeful young performers with no idea of what was about to happen, except for one person. Director James Burrows sensed the shift coming. Convinced the series would explode in popularity, he gathered the fresh cast and flew them to Las Vegas on a private jet. According to the book by Miller, Burrows wanted them to enjoy one last evening without cameras, crowds, or constant recognition. As they stepped into the neon glow of the casino, Burrows issued a quiet warning that landed heavier than they expected. "This is the final moment you'll ever walk into a place unnoticed." He told them to savor it, to do whatever rising television stars were expected to do when arriving in Vegas on a private flight. The cast embraced the moment with the kind of excitement only people on the edge of life-changing success feel. To make the night even more memorable, the 6 actors handed Burrows personal checks so he could stake them with gambling money. It was a small ritual, but it was the beginning of their bond. By the next day, everything began to change. But for a few bright hours under the casino lights, they were simply 6 young actors celebrating the end of their anonymity, unaware that the world was about to meet them. Which of these revelations shocked you the most? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, Click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.